Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry Smooth. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And I want to talk about the state of being and ascension. Because a lot of people got things fucked up. Now, I've been trying to answer. That's why y'all ain't seen no video from me all day, and I've been kind of lacking because I've been trying to answer and reach every single email. So if I haven't reached out to you yet, bear with me because I'm trying. And I've been trying to work, calculate my communication skills based upon Mercury being in retrograde and shit like that. So y'all gotta bear with me and things of that nature. So for the most part, but I cleared a lot of things up right now. I'm trying to get to every natal reading, get to every email, every question. So, but I have to still do videos also. So that's what this video is about right now. This video is about your state of being and actual ascension. Now, y'all know y'all get lost into y'all motherfucking concepts of ascension, and then that got lost into y'all aspect of looking at the motherfucking sun. Now, for the most part, this is what you need to understand. When we talk about ascension and shit like that, now, astrological wise, this is why we have an ascendant sign. So for the most part, it's where the sun appeared to be ascendant in or rising in the time you was born. And we know the sun has a specific location where it likes to ascend or rise, or what you quote unquote like to say it's ascending or rising in throughout the day and throughout the year. So for the most part, that's where it's exalted at. So, but this is what you need to understand, right? Now, when we talk about ascension and things of that nature and the sun rising and setting, yeah, based upon our perspective, our location, how we see things. But things get tricky when you are a human. See, I'm not human. I'm from the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. So things get tricky when you are a human, right? So based upon your perspective, your location, and how you see the sun and how it appeared to be. This is why the ascendant is your appearance, how you appear to be. So based upon your location, the sun appears to look like it's rising. But this is what you need to understand. If you was the sun, you're basically just going along your trail. You're basically just on your rotation. You're on your pattern. You know nothing of ascending, rising, or setting, or anything of that nature. And I can almost guarantee you, other stars and relative to the Centaur stars or Lyra stars and how they're rotating and how they're relative to the star you up under that you call the sun now, I can almost guarantee you that the positioning and the rotating is very different compared to the alignment in that way. This is why you always have different realms of realities, different dimensions. So I don't give a fuck if you want to feel like you are experiencing a high vibrational time or a low vibrational time. What you need to understand is you still experiencing that in the same goddamn dimension or realm of reality everybody else is. So I don't give a fuck about what y'all be trying to claim and things of that nature. What's higher or lower, what you need to understand, there's no concept of higher or lower or things of that nature, especially when you talk about the astral realm and things of that nature. So, there's different realm, and right beside us, there's another dimension of realm of reality, because right beside us, our sun and star is aligning with other stars and lights in another kind of way. So, what appear to be rising to the east to us may be fucking setting on the fucking east to another realm of reality, right beside us, in front of us, on the other side, different spectrums, different shades of the lights of the suns. So this is what y'all need to motherfucking understand, all y'all religious people also, and people who think they're ascending and going higher or lower. I don't give a fuck what realm of reality and dimension you think you are experiencing some type of high vibrational or low vibrational nature. What you need to understand is you still sharing the same dimension and realm of reality as someone else. So when we start to talk about spirit and what they used to call spirit back in the ancient times, right? They used to call it a lot of times because the consciousness was limited. So I can almost guarantee you, this is what this video about, your state of being. I can almost guarantee you, once we reach the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, people are going to be calling their state of being the spirit. Which really, I'm starting to get scared of using the word spirit now, because it's just a form of, it's like a form that my being could go to and have a certain existence, because of all these meanings and reasonings and sigils and words y'all done gave to this energy signature, and y'all all wrapped it up into the word spirit. So now that then took a form. So now my being is no longer truly that, because my being go through multiple realms of realities and dimensions. But in this realm of reality, to come here, I have to come into the being, into the form of a spirit. Now, here's what y'all calling the actual form of a spirit. Now, here's where we get into the concept of light body. Now, look, light body. Now, smoke. The smoke is rising. Why? It's a form, but it's a form that's so light, it rises. So forms that's light, it gets to float, it gets to rise, it gets to ascend. So when you talk about the spiritual nature now, this is where we get into concepts of like ma'at, the feather, wearing the feather on the heart and things of that nature. So in the spiritual nature, right, they're trying to give you a concept that this is your light body. So when they say a body of light, a body of fire, right? These beings used to come into bodies of fire or bodies of light. They're telling you that these are beings coming in the body in that form. And since it's a light form, transformations happen real fast, a lot faster. Death and birth, transformation happens a lot faster. So within that fire realm, spirits get to take those light bodies and play out shapes and forms and create realms of realities. This is why one of your lightest bodies is your solar plexus, and they created all your other plexus just in this realm. But in every realm, you have a center. So you create a solar plexus first. Don't get lost into thinking chakras is something more than what they are. They are wheels. And if you have a will to will something in existence, you always come from a center, and you are a center, and your state of being always have a center place, your center self, your true inner self. And it creates like a womb, a mind, a middle, your mental, and that mental is like a 360, and it's split in half with two natures. Now to create formulations and sigils and vortexes to create shapes and forms out of those two feminine and masculine natures, right? Your state of being have to go into a realm of reality that have correlated that before you and did that kind of nature before you, unless you are a being who know how to create mass realms for yourself and experience all that for yourself without needing offsprings and shit like that. But that's another story. That's another video. But for the most part, all beings need an offspring. So when we talk about light bodies, bodies of fire, as a spirit, now this is what we call a spirit. This a being that's in a light body. So that would be a spiritual body, a spiritual being, a being that's utilizing their spiritual bodies. They're utilizing their light bodies, their chakras, their conscious bodies, and that their conscious bodies or their light bodies, and that allow you to ascend and go to other and experience other realms of realities that may not be physical or manifested to be this dense yet. You see what I'm saying? So that's what y'all been calling the spirit this whole time. So y'all think things that's not seen, y'all correlate anything that's not seen to the spirit. So y'all start calling your thoughts. You'll start saying shit like you are your thoughts, and start saying that your thoughts is spirits and shit like that. And that's all fucking wrong. So to the point when you get into the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension and you start to realize that your thoughts can be seen, you start to realize that all of those wasn't even you, and then you start to realize that fire and all this shit is really just bodies that we can take in higher realms that's less dense. Then you start to realize, like, damn, what we was trying to call the spirit wasn't that shit either. Then you're gonna be like, oh, the spirit is your state of being, and then in that realm of reality, it ain't gonna be that either. It's gonna be something else in the 7th and 8th and 9th dimension. It's just the spirit is gonna be the closest word to utilize for state of being, which in that realm it's called state of being. In this realm, y'all calling it spirit. In that realm, 4th and 5th and 6th dimension, it's a state of being. So that's why I'm starting to get scared of calling it motherfucking the spirit now. Because in this realm, y'all starting to correlate that shit to all kind of dumbass shit. And it's no thing, no shape and form. And once you utilize that science, that's good in all dimensions. Because you know you always no thing, no shape and form. So these things that you create for yourself to inhabit, you know not to never get attached to that shit. You always remember that with that science. You know what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, Ascension. Now, this is the true nature of Ascension. So when y'all get into the Bible stories and shit, y'all just, that's just like following the sun and shit like that. Here's the true Ascension story, right? It's taking a lighter body, right? But it's doing it spiritually. So how do you do that spiritually, right? That's not being too heavy. So being too heavy is being too much attached to your conscious records, aka your memory, or being too much attached to the past in some way, shape, or form. I don't care how you plan it out. Whether emotionally or a memory that something happened to you, or you clinging on to something that you have did in a previous civilization when you was in another shape and form. 2,000 or 7,000 years ago. And you still want to cling on to those emotional arousements in today's time. And it may not even make sense really, but it give you a sense of wisdom and knowledge, because to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from. But then y'all get emotionally attached to these things, and then you become these things, and that's not truly you. It was you, but you're something else now. But you're trying to make yourself, you're trying to become a chameleon or a shapeshifter back into that, and now you start to share those same experiences. And trust me, you don't want that. You don't want to experience everything these motherfuckers was experiencing at that time. So keep that in mind. And y'all motherfuckers slowly but surely be manifesting those kind of situations for y'all motherfucking selves. You know what I'm saying? To the point that y'all even want to follow shit, like, and then try to understand, like, I don't even want to get into that, but for the most part, let's talk about ascension. Now, this is what ascension is. Ascension is going into your lighter bodies. Now, your heavy bodies cannot travel in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. So whatever y'all think y'all even calling heaven ain't nothing more or nothing less but the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. And whatever teaching you about that dimension is a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional being. And they are taking the bodies of clouds, taking the body of flame, taking the body of air, taking the body of water. And how that's playing out in this realm of reality is mental concepts, ideas, inspiration, passion, emotions. You know what I'm saying? That's how that play out in this realm. But in that realm, that's an actual form of a body. So if you are an emotional being down here, you need to know in that realm, that's an actual person. If you are having passion down here, you need to know in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional realm, that's an actual person. Passion is a person. Love is a person. You see what I'm saying? Hatred is a person. Intentions is a person. You see what I'm saying? It's like you need to understand, in that realm, these are people. But in the 3rd dimension, that concept can be played out through billions of people down here. But up there, that's just one person. You see what I'm saying? So it's like 7 rulerships and authorities that just rule this location of space that we are in the 3rd dimension from a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional aspect. But from them, they're amongst billions and trillions the same way you amongst billions and trillions down here. And you got governments that rule certain space and locations and government. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about ascension, ascension is not attaching yourself to a realm of reality or dimension. So when you attach yourself to language, laws, words, emotions, feelings, vibrations, ideas, concepts that's tied strictly to a specific dimension and realm of reality. Now the dimension you in right now is the 3D, 3rd dimension. The realm of reality you are in right now is now that's harder. That's a little bit more harder to decipher, because that depends on each person and whatever they're experiencing and the pattern and the rotation that they are in. Like and that's how you know if they have light experiences or heavy experiences. A person, now depending on this, how you can decipher a person who's in a certain realm of reality or not. A person who's constantly having multitudes of the same kind of experience, regardless of what it is, over and over again from a multitude level. This is a person that's in a heavy realm of reality. If a person having a bunch of new experiences, like a bunch of new experiences, it's not the same kind of shit over and over again, and it's a bunch of new kind of shit. This is a person that's in a light realm of reality. So they're in a lighter realm of reality. So here's where we get into concepts like, now me being Archangel Uriel and looking at the aspect of light and lighter. When you light something on fire, it transforms into a lighter element version of it, right? So for the most part, this what allows it to go up in smoke, right? But light her. Now her, what is her? Now we like daughters of men, right? So this is the physical shapes and forms that we created out of the element earth, and earth is a feminine element, and we utilize that element, which was structure, nourishing, curating, time, patience, practicality, growth, and nurturing and curating. That's the earth element right there, and we utilize that, and that's a feminine element. So then what we created out of that was a feminine nature. So here's where you get Mother Nature, but we created the shape and form out of that. So here's where you also get the concept of daughter of men. Now, when we say light her up, I'm about to light that ass up, or just lighter, or you always need a lighter, right? Light her. Now, this what it means. We about to light it up. We finna light that daughters of men up with our spirit body. Now, as state of us as being beings going into a body of flame or a body of light, this is what y'all try to call spirit. I'm trying to get y'all to decipher it, but for the most part, let's just call that spirit for right now. We take that fire body or that air body, that breath body, that light body, right? And light up the daughters of men. We light her up. So that concept, that energy signature, been bouncing back and forth and been becoming heavier and heavier and manifesting more dense and dense since we have made that pact to create theism and go into the daughter of men and create hermeticism and shit like that, and hermetics and shit like that. So how it's being played out now in this vibration is we need lighters to light things to cause transformation. But in order for us, we know life and death is transformation, right? That's what being born is. That's what dying is. That's what life and death is, transformation. So this is where you get the concept of transformation in this 3D, in the 3D realm. See, I be speaking about it from a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. In the third dimension, that's when I have to come down and explain it to y'all. Hit an L and say, this is what y'all Bible is talking about with daughters of men. But really, it's just the same concept of me smoking right now. I done lit this fucking L and you see the smoke rise. Now that's a light body. So I lit it up. I needed to light her. So I light her. I took a light body to transform the form, the heavy thing that I created, the coal that I created. So therefore, that causes transformation. So I was able to die as a being and go into the daughters of men, aka transform. So when you was in your mother, you came out and transformed. When you went into your father idea, you died as a spiritual being, whatever lighter body you was in, and you transformed and came in this one. Now I need you to know, now technically in this realm, from a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional aspect, I don't have no disagreement with y'all calling a light body or a lighter body or a fire body the spirit. But I be trying to decipher y'all that what y'all trying to pinpoint, it ain't that. Your state of being ain't that. That's just what your state of being is resonating with at the moment. So to get to this dimension as a spirit, you have to actually be wise enough to take a fire body, to take a gas body, to take a light body. So a lot of times, if you are an unexperienced spirit, a spirit who haven't experienced a lot of lives, bodies, or transformations, aka these are the first forms you go into, and you experience the first imagination, the first thought, the first let there be light. This is why your fire body down here is your imagination, your passion, your creativity. That's your fire body down here. So when you use your passion and intuition for your dreams and will that down here, that'll be your light body, your spirit body, that which I try to correlate it to. Then it goes into the soul. It becomes an individual, and it becomes like wet, but it's like an individual flame. But in this realm, it's fluid. So in this realm, it's really water. So in this realm, in the 3rd dimension, it's an individual fire, individual flame, individual spirit, aka your smokeless flame, aka your water, aka individual spirit, aka your soul. So now your water is your soul. So now you went into the spirit, the passion and the emotion and the intention, and then now you gave it soul. You gave it an individual signature. You gave it your own impression. You gave that fire your own impression. You gave that spirit your own soul, your own fluid, your own dance, your own movement. Now we can see that fire move in a realm of reality, but aka that's really fire settling down in your individual self. So it's a soul, spirit becoming a soul. So now it's your individual aspect of you going into the spirit and you expressing it with yourself, with your state of being. You see what I'm saying? And that's when as a spirit you take the water body, and then now you have to take an air body. Now that has to be communicated. That has to be seen. It has to reflect. It has to shine. It has to travel. So it plays out as form of communication, as in thought, and mentally, as in clouds and thought forms. And this is the way we used to communicate before verbally. You see what I'm saying? And now, once you get into that start to take shapes and forms so many times and become physical in the realm of reality is in, and it becomes solid. And you can sustain that vibration and experience that realm of reality for so on as a being. But you was taking all those forms as a being. You see what I'm saying? So the state of being is powerful. So what state of being are you in? And what spirits are you being ruled by? Because a lot of y'all are being ruled by certain spirits that keep y'all in a negative state of beings. So you become a spiritual being, but a negative spiritual being. So in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, when you take that fire body as a being, you be a spiritual being. But when you floating around like a cloud and shit up there, your motherfucker ass is in trouble. You see what I'm saying? Because too much of that imagination and light might be formulated to the realm of reality you just left from. So your ass truly never escape. But when you talk about it being a state of being, this is developing your 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional body. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get you to understand, don't attach your true essence to anything. Anything that you created was what your essence wanted to utilize to experience its imagination. And anytime you create a limitation, a shape and form, you put your spirit in jail, yourself. You like, okay, I did it, and you get handcuffed by the Galactic Federation of Light, and they lock your ass up, and then your ass don't get to experience traveling, aka experiencing all your dreams and imagination, aka you don't travel in the astral realm. Your ass locked up in a specific location and spot in jail. So you need to make sure you keep yourself light. Don't be attaching no big ass guilts. If you done something, you did it because your spirit wanted to experience that shit. The moment you start adding guilt and meanings and reasonings, you're letting some outside influence affect and determine your experience. So they're slowing you down. See what I'm saying? Now, once you start to get truly into the scenario, you'll know what you're doing right or wrong, and you'll know how far to go in your limits and boundaries. But you have to get there first. You can't get there being ruled by another spirit telling you how to get there. You got to get there first for yourself to be like, okay, next time I know not to experience this. Next time I know to experience this. You ain't gonna never get there by having a book or something like that or somebody else telling you how there is before you got there for yourself. That's just like moving into another city that you didn't want to move there, that you didn't want to move in, but once you move there, you're like, damn, I like this better than I thought I was. That's the same scenario. So don't let somebody tell you how that's going to be experienced. Go there and experience that shit for yourself first. And then you develop your conscious body there. You develop your solar plexus there. You develop your conscious awareness there. And you start developing body pieces in there after thousands of years. And now you be aware of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Time for us to take our motherfucking power back. But this video truly wasn't even about shit. I just felt I'm free for a second, so I wanted to do a motherfucking video. Flight post, bitch. Goddamn air. Eehee, I love y'all.